خضراء الدمن. قيل يا رسول الله, what do you mean by خضراء الدمن? قال المرأة الحسناء في منبت السوء. Sometimes you just look at the attraction, look at the appearance, look at the, الظاهر, the material thing, and you forgot that you may get a flower, but what if this flower was taken from a junkyard? You don't like it. I mean, this flower might be beautiful, but the moment that you took it from a smelly junkyard, it loses the sense. So he says that what I mean by khadra ad-diman is that you may pick up a spouse, a husband, a wife that they are attractive in physical form, but then they are coming from bad background. Be careful about that. We have a group of ahadith, and I know that some of the speakers are going to talk about the criteria, and I leave the details for them, but basically there are 4 conditions that we go through the hadith about the selection of a spouse. Number 1, alayka bidat ad-din. Faith matters a lot. Because when somebody is faithful, you can trust, right? Even if there is an anger in the family, when people are faithful, still in some extent, the faith brings safety and security. That is number 1, that عليك بذات الدين قبل ذات الجمال وذات المال وذات الأسرة. Before thinking about the family and the prosperity of the person or material, before that, think about عليك بذات الدين. Number 2, ذات الأخلاق. Somebody wrote, Imam Musa ibn Ja'far alayhi salam, that إن لي قرابة قد خطب إلي ابنتي وفي خلقه سوء. That somebody is asking for my daughter's hand, but I know that his akhlaq is not good, his attitude, his behavior. قال عليه السلام لا تزوجه إن كان سيء الخلق. If this person is سيء الخلق, then forget about that. That is very, very important. إذا جاءكم من ترضون دينه وخلقه فزوجوه. These 2 criteria are very important: faith and also the character, the moral character of the person. Number 3, the hadith, they talk about the habits, the customs, the practice of the person. إياك أن تزوج شارب الخمر. Somebody is drinking alcohol, somebody is getting involved with drugs and gambling. This is another criteria to reject when we think about the formation of union of marriage. And number 4 in ahadith, al-aql. Deen matters, akhlaq matters, adad matters, but al-aql, intellect. Imam Ali said, إياكم وتزويج الحمقاء فإن صحبتها بلاء وولدها ضياء. Be very careful when you want to get married. If you are dealing with somebody who's idiot, really, somebody who's foolish, somebody who doesn't have brain, this person is dangerous, because association with this person is a musibah, is really a tragedy. And also ولدها, يعني cannot take care of the kids as a mom, as a dad, and the kids get lost. So intellect means a lot. And now we have this really conflict of an intellect and emotion and love. حبك للشيء يعمي ويسم. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said that when you love something, when you love somebody, you get blind, and you get someone like deaf. You cannot see anymore, you cannot hear anymore, because the emotion, the passion of love may occupy you, and then you lose the control. So it's very, very important that the material beauty and the color and clothes and house and money and all of this, even the psychologists, they are saying that this material thing, after like a year or 2 years, become normal. you don't see the beauty after a year, no matter how husband or wife, they are handsome, they are beautiful. When you go through conversation and daily life, you don't see it anymore. You don't feel it anymore. For that reason, you end up with the character, with personality, with akhlaq, with faith, and with the spiritual values after 1 year, after 2 years. You continue your journey with the content, with the soul, not with the physical anymore. So brain, the Prophet said, brain and belief and behavior, and at the end, of course, beauty and attraction, matter, but not as the first thing. First, you look at iman and intellect of the person, not physical attraction of the person. Doesn't mean that Islam doesn't care about love. The Quran already talked about mawaddatan wa rahmah. But love of civilization, love as an oxygen for your soul, love as something energizing that helps you to do the mission of your life, love as a medicine for your spirit. And this happens when the relationship between husband and wife is really a good relationship, and is in that case even expression of love is rewarding. The Prophet said, "Ma min imra'atin tusqi zawjaha sharbatan min ma'in illa kana khayran laha min ibadat as-sana." When a wife, out of really love, not as her duty to serve as a person of kitchen, or just, that is not the issue. But when she does all of this out of love and out of commitment and out of support for the family, each time that she gives even a cup of tea or coffee or water to her husband, that is as rewarding, as blessing, as worshiping God for the entire year. When husband and wife sit next to each other, the Prophet said, and show this closeness and spending this time together, this is khayrun min i'tikaf fi masjidi hada, even more rewarding than coming to the masjid of Rasulullah and sitting there. So this riwayat is telling us the importance of selection, the importance of opening your eyes, opening our eyes before the marriage. One of my friends was saying that, open your eyes before the marriage and close your eyes after the marriage. So that helps you. You start with awareness, but then later on, after the marriage, you close your eyes, and so you don't see the shortcoming that much. Some people, when it comes to union of marriage, they talk about istikhara. We have istishara more important than istikhara in marriage. So we just want to say, I want to make a khira and make the final decision. It is more consultation and more investigation and more knowledge than, as a matter of fact, just a quick decision, like a fast food decision, and an emotional and passionate decision. But of course, when you get married, as much as you can express this love, the Prophet said that when someone says to his wife, "Inni uhibbuka," I love you, هذه كلمة لا تنساها أبدا. She would never forget this sentence, "Inni uhibbuka." And we have it in the tradition of Ahlul Bayt, like Imam Hussein, لأمرك إنني لأحب دارا تكون بها السكينة والرباب. He is saying that I love the house where my wife Rubab and daughter Sakina are located. He is saying that even the building, the physical structure of that location is in my heart because of my wife and because of my daughter. One of the fundamental things before formation of the union of the marriage is dialogue. That the decision is based on dialogue. And the purpose of dialogue is to know each other, to receive knowledge. So knowledge is very, very fundamental in this journey. And I have had cases that, you know, the couples, they come and they sit next to each other and they talk about their goal, their plans, and about anything that related to the life, about faith, about religion, even about friends, about food, about prayer, about practice, about money, job, education, spiritual values, their vision, their vacation, their volunteer work, for example, that are you interested to, you know, do some volunteer works for organizations, about their debt, if they had debt, about credit card, about location of life, about their future, about language, about in-law, about dealing with anger. All of these things can be discussed in a matter of a dialogue that is the foundation for determination and decision for the marriage. As we get into conclusion, I like to mention 20 points, just I say the words because no time to, how to make the foundation, how to make this union strong, the strongest. I came up with 20 words. Some of them you already talked about that, but faith, love, respect, appreciation, forgiveness, positive energy, observing al-haya wal-ifaf, the modesty, purity, hadaya, exchange of gifts, patience, sense of responsibility, trust, because lots of time, you know, the suspicion and doubt cause so many problems. At-ta'amul bil-ma'ruf, the nice treatment, and taghaful, sometimes to ignore the thing, like you didn't see it, you didn't hear it. Understanding, hard work, cooperation, promise keeping, and sacrifice. These 20 points are very, very fundamental in different situations for different people as the points of power to keep the foundation very firm and strong. When we look at the role model like Sayyidah Khadija and Nabi alayhi salam, when we look at the role model of Imam Ali and Sayyidah Fatima, you see that relationship in the family of Ali and Fatima is full of takreem and ihtiram and respect and love, al-ruhaniyya, spirituality, al-ibadah, the prayer and ubudiyya, deen, faith, the sacrifice. I mean, even the way that they address each other, like Imam Ali saying, Ya bint Rasulullah, right? Instead of just saying Fatima by name, Ya bint Rasulullah. Or Ya Sayyidata Nisa al-Alameen. Sayyidah Fatima calls Imam Ali, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ya Aba al-Hasan. So even this kind of communication in the family. When Prophet Muhammad asked Imam Ali that, how is the situation, how is you and Fatima, how is everything? And he answered, نِعْمَ الْعَوْنُ عَلَى طَاعَةِ اللَّهِ. She is the best assistant in my mission, in my ministry, in my relationship with God, in the things that I do. My wife is my best assistant. I mean, you can say it even better than this. When Prophet said then, إِذَا أَرَادَ اللَّهُ بِعَبْدٍ خَيْرَ الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ جَعَلَ لَهُ قَلْبًا خَاشِعًا وَلِسَانًا ذَاكِرًا وَجَسَدًا عَلَى الْبَلَاءِ صَابِرًا وزوجة مؤمنة تسره إذا نظر إليها وتحفظه إذا غاب عنها في نفسها ومالها. When God wants to really bless someone, one of the things that He does is to bless this person through the family. A zawja salihah, a zawj salih. When husband is righteous, when wife is righteous, and the life is based on righteousness, is based on al-ma'ruf, asharuhunna bil-ma'ruf, la tudarruhunna, la tamsukuhunna dirara, la tudahiruhunna, la ta'duluhunna, that they don't hurt each other, they don't, as a matter of fact, they are not exercising violence against each other, they are not isolating and putting down one another. This is really the values that in the Quran and the Hadith are promoted when we come to dealing with the importance of the family. If you want to add or as a matter of fact end this part, and if you have any question after that, I was thinking last night about number of 14, that if I want to have 14 points, because we love 14 masumin, right? This number is good. I said that how can we describe the family union in 14 C's, right? C. And I came with this, that some of them I covered in different language, but now I say 14 C's, if you can remember. This is what marriage is about. I came with covenant, that marriage is a covenant, mithaq and ghalida. Completion, when you marry, you complete your religion. Continuation, you continue this journey. Communication, lots of time I see the problems, lack of communication. Consistency, that it's important that we stay consistent, because you may do one thing and you expect this stay till the day of judgment. I mean, you have to be consistent, right? It's not just one time you did something and we did something and we talk about it for eternity. No, it's just consistent. Companionship, that is al-mu'anasa in relationship, cooperation, at-ta'awun, compassion, compromise. The issue of compromise is very important. And sometimes, things are out of control. You cannot compromise anymore. But in many cases, if somebody is at this, age and somebody is here and they are fighting and angry, so one way is just to bring everybody in the middle and compromise and get to some understanding. Confidence, when people have trust on one another and they have confidence. Creativity, it really brings joy in the relationship when husband does something creative or wife does something creative. Compatibility, that kufiyya that we have, that they have some similarities in cultural thinking, religious thinking, social thinking, and they are on the same page in area, caring and courtesy. These were 14 C's that summarize some of the things that I mentioned about number one, how important marriage is, a family is, and family start from the marriage, and what are the criteria of marriage in the Quran, and what are the criteria of marriage in ahadith, and then the issue of selection and investigation, and starting this journey with awareness and with education. Because really, if we do that, then we can not only fix the families, we can fix the society. You know that the divorce in this country costs the taxpayers $120 billion a year. Because when a separation happens, and then the government should help and people should help, and single dad or single mom and all of this, it costs United States $120 billion a year just because of divorce. And it's very, very unfortunate that over 50% of families become fatherless. And as I mentioned, 80% in Detroit, 80% of kids out of wedlock. In Highland Park, even 90% out of wedlock. And recently I was performing a divorce, and the moment the divorce, people were hearing it from the family on the telephone. I was doing it here, and some family, the girl's family, they were in the house and they were on the speaker, and the moment I performed the divorce, everybody is like dancing. I thought it is marriage. We used to have haflatul zawaj. Now we have haflatul talaq. Looks like the haflatul talaq is more exciting than haflatul zawaj. My goodness, what is going on? This explosion of joy because the divorce happened. This is so disastrous. This is so tragic that we get to the point that we used to think that it is a non-Muslim community, but unfortunately it's coming to Muslim community because of money, because of anger, because of suspicion, because of jealousy, because of tadlis, because of dishonesty, because of domestic violence. There are so many causes that create these issues and get to the point that then we need 911 to come and solve our problem. My goodness, the family should be like a center of love and compassion, and then the police get involved and the court get involved. And this is something that this gathering, this education, this dialogue is, how can we save our families and our communities from this kind of tragedy? Education is the highest thing. Education is the most important thing, and this conference is about education. Sorry if it got a little bit longer than I thought, but I could not make it shorter than this. I didn't even explain. I just went with the terms that I thought about that, but if any comment or question. How much time, Haji Sahab?
No, time is up.
Time
If
is
they
up?
want to ask any questions,
Okay.
anybody, I don't think. Anybody else?
Yes,
I'll encourage them to ask questions. We know a lot of time you mentioned prerequisites for marriage, and it seemed like maybe love come toward the end. And I think big problem of the marriage is people put love in the front, and that blind them from the other thing that's really important. And what we need to do to see what we can do to reverse this, and let people, think how this person deal with his family, how this person deal with his friends, with his neighbors, with the classmates, with the school. Because no matter how good he is to you, eventually he's gonna be back to where he is.
Background that is coming
Yeah,
from.
so you have to accept how he is or how she is with him, and to reverse this from love being. When you ask somebody, why you want to marry بحبه? That's the first thing that they say. And once you have said that, then you are blinded. You cannot think of it. The other question I have, maybe you can discuss it later. What is the role of the parents in this marriage? You mentioned a lot of things, but are there a role for the parents to really intervene or advise, or is there something they can do to make the marriage, work, or see if it's a good thing to proceed?
It is in the Quran that in yurida islahan yuwaffiquhum Allah baynahuma. When there is a trouble in the family, when some muslihin from both sides, from in-laws, because they care about these kids more than anybody else, more than neighbors and outsiders. They are inside the family. If yurida islaha, if they are really, because sometimes families get emotion and just my son or my daughter, but if really they act with fairness, with justice, with dignity, with good understanding, and good vision for the family, and have a bigger picture in their mind, and they get involved, Quran says that's the first thing that should be done. Before getting to the court of the government, let the court of conscience and the court of kindness of the parents and in-law solve the problem. And even if you have the fear, the Quran says that if you have a fear that there's going to be like a problem in the family, then their involvement is important. And of course, the role of family starts from the beginning, because the family itself is the first school of teaching love, teaching respect, teaching responsibility, teaching sacrifice, teaching all these values and all of this faith. And lots of time that we have this problem. Look at this ISIS. They have a family problem. Other than that, how a guy become a killer if there are values in the family, right? Or all of these issues that we have in the society now here that are this hatred and racism and violence and all of these things. That means that they were not taught the values in the first school of the family to begin with. So the role of parents that and يعلمه القرآن and يختار ويزوجه, all of these things, the duties of the parents that in our Sharia are mentioned obviously matters, because the parents are the first role model too.
Assalamu alaikum.